Hello guys and welcome back to Broken Gear Garage. Today we are going to start tearing down the 1972 350 and we will start the process from the beginning. It might be, or it's going to be a multiple video on the tear down, rebuild and stuff like that for this vehicle. One nice thing about these older engines, or even just in general, most engines nowadays, even the older ones, you're only limited to so many different sockets to actually use. It all depends on which ones they are. So all the intake bolts should be 9/16. Then we'll pop out that tube. That tube is just for the vacuum on for the brake booster. Just runs from the back of the carburetor to the brake booster. Little black baffle there is just a glorified one-way check valve. I mean, nowadays they're a lot smaller than that one is, but all it does is a one-way vacuum. You got your PSV valve. Just runs in the front of the carburetor, the quadrajet, which is clamped still on it. Yeah, 1 second. Turn off the air compressor so you don't have to hear that every so often. You won't be really using air tools, much less electric and hand tools. Of course, it's on the other side of the shop, so you gotta walk a ways. Okay, so quadrajet bolts are going to be 1/2 inch all the way around. I don't know, it's loose for some reason. And a lot of this stuff should be coming with it. Oop. Or get thrown everywhere. Make sure you organize it in a random pile so you don't remember where anything is. Where anything goes. Oop. I'm going to show you this side. Again, tagged up on. This little thing right here, which is all it is a little thermostatic control for the choke. It pretty much runs off of what the intake temperature is. Oh, there's a little coolant jacket in there, and that's how it runs off of it. Heats that up, opens and closes the choke of the carburetor. Well, just sitting on there. There you go. Make it a little bit easier. Take these. See, I'm going to take this off because there's all this no cover. Just clips on there to kind of hide getting all the extra dust and debris on there. It pretty much sits like this. As the coolant and all that starts warming up, the spring goes in slowly like this until it fully opens up the choke. And once it cools down, goes back down to normal setting. At least for these older vehicles that have choke styles, and you want a choke style, it's nice to at least have something that's your preference. Either you can have the thermal controlled or a hard linkage, which some people go to that because it's more controllable, or electronic, which is what's on my older truck that's at home. Like, of course, everything's off of your preference, what you would like to do with it. I can make a short video on how the factory one on my 350 I have. This is just customer's one that wants me to go through it, make sure everything's good. The engine ran when it was taken out. They just wanted to make sure everything was gone through, ready to go, so that you don't have to worry about it for a while. Oh, there's the clippy. Goes with that. They're like these old style clips. Like that, it's a lock tab there. Really want to, yeah. Best bet is kind of keep everything a little bit organized so you know where everything goes. I just stack intake and carburetor stuff together. take this off. I'll put you over here. Let's see if we can take off this, which is alternator brackets. You get this to adjust the tension on the pulley. This was an extra bracket welded on for hydraulics for the plow that this engine came out of. That might be a bigger one than 9/16, or it is a 9/16. Keep those right there. Once you get everything apart, we'll pressurize everything, and there's the outside. Check all clearances and what else loose too. Make sure there's no real damage to it. Do the power steering pump right here. At least that one was all of it was loose. Don't know why, but it was. Then make sure you grab this bolt so don't go down to the drain. And do power steering pump. All 9/16 bolts. Should be a total of 4. One more. Boom. Sometimes they just fall right off. Save some time. And power steering pump or water pump's pretty much junk. There's no real movement to it. Should be 5/8. So take this steel fuel line off. And again, it's up to the customer or your preference, whatever you want to do. A lot of people convert these over to rubber line, especially when you can't get this readily available. They are harder to find. So I got one for my 84, and I had to go through L&C Parts just to find it, which is a good place to go for a lot of the OEM style. Yeah, it's not 100%, but it's close enough to when you're trying to get something back to factory or close to factory. And I'll do thermostat housing. Nice and grimy in there. So you know it's been stored for a little bit. I'll show you. That's what's in there right now. And hopefully that ain't all the rest of the engine is, but like I said, this is first time not taking apart, nothing has been touched. I did not take it apart prior to doing this. It's a little loose. And then we'll do valve covers. Take all this stuff off before we actually take the intake off, because the valve covers actually hover a little bit over the intake, so it's a little bit harder to get them on or get the intake out with those on there. Those aren't original. That's not original bolts I replaced once before. Because I'm going with metric now, just to get it to fit. And yeah, a little corrosion and stuff like that could change how diameter is. Wire those. I'll show you this. I mean, it doesn't rain. A lot of people say it don't matter, but a lot of these older style ones like that have these little spacers in there, which is supposed to help when you tighten them down to kind of disperse the tension throughout the valve cover. And if you don't have them on there, they tend to leak more than normal. I mean, a little gunky, but not terrible. Throw the bolts in there so they don't get lost. Those were 11 millimeter. What I use to take it off. And of course, this is like normal, just a cork gasket. And depending on what you prefer for your gaskets and stuff like that, a lot of them suggest with that style clamping force on the original stamped heads, you should be using cork gaskets with some kind of sealer on it to provide the best sealing force on it. Of course, same thing too, these upper ones don't have spacers on it for some reason. And all of them are loose. Same. Nothing too special. And You have old gasket. Just resting on, or even carbon buildup resting on one of the lifters, the rockers. Other than that, I mean, take for a quick little walk, but nothing too alarming. So as a normal of an older engine that's hasn't really been worked a whole lot. Just hard work. Looks like a lot of idle time and carbon buildup. Now we'll do the intake. I mean, hopefully, if everything else is the way it is, that everything comes out the same way of not too terrible. That we can make this engine work for what the person needs it for. And of course, that one's all corroded to crap. I had to clean that all up. And get a better grip on it so don't completely mess up everything. They're the harder ones to extract or take care of. To even get to, a lot of times I just end up using the wrench or a stubby socket to with a flex head to get a better grip on it. If it's too much difficult, I might just end up having to do a different part of the engine, get that removed off screen, and show the rest later. I hate to bother you guys with showing random extractions. Looks like carbon buildup, maybe a little bit of dirt, but in worst case, I'm gonna have to heat them up a little bit to kind of break that seal. Try 9/16 again. Might have to end up going metric again. Try metric first. Maybe. I'll do a wrench. Yeah, those are Nope. Nope. Maybe. Now I have a 14. Oh, I'm going to grab a stubby 14 socket. A 1/4 inch. The more we can get off, without any difficulties, the better. Nope. Well, it does deal with like the carbon buildup and stuff. Sometimes, yeah, even just slow movements of tightening and loosening will help break all that stuff up. You don't want to go too excessive and snap something off. Sometimes just slow and steady will, yeah, it's time consuming, but you don't want to break anything off and spend more time. There we go. Sometimes slow and steady, and you can put a little penetrant or even some carb cleaner or brake clean on there to kind of loosen up all that gunk and stuff that's in there, because I guarantee you, because these are right where the emissions are supposed to be. Yeah. And it smells like carbon buildup. It's like kind of like gas, oil, all burnt. Yeah. There we go. Another one. Now, two harder ones are kind of questionable as is. That one, guarantee we're gonna have to use a wrench. This one, so much corrosion, I don't know. I might just have to. Maybe. Yep, that one came loose. There we go. Sometimes just usually a nice little grip on there. These are the ones you usually end up using a universal joint on the actual socket to actually help you get it all the way off. Yep. Now they accept this satisfying part of it. I'm popping it off. Just make sure you find a good prying point. Maybe. Berber. Once you get that good spot, or even just using this and or chisel, or even nope. I don't want to damage some stuff too. Might have to end up using hammering chisel to take this off. Ain't no real good spot right now to pry on. Nope. And you can go for the old pry bar or even want to a thicker screwdriver. Take those off. No, it's ready. Falling apart already. And then just get that a little loose. Front and back. Now that's popping. You can hear it go from a solid tank to a hollow. Now you can use a pry bar, which I'll get a smaller one. Seeing that with it partially off now, I could go like there. Just grab that, go like that. And now, whoa, that's popped off. Intake isn't that badly. And yeah, it's black, all nasty. A lot of the baffle stuff is usually where all the carbon buildup comes into. Like right there and here are actually for the emissions of it. Even that it's just 70s, they had some kind of emissions, even if it was just a basic. It would just take some of the exhaust, flow it back into the intake, and reuse it. Nothing special. And nowadays, we got computer controlled. They open and close differently. They slightly open to fully open, where vacuum style was, for the most part, opened or closed. And a lot of that was based off of the carburetor and the temperature of the engine. I can show you a video when I show you the how my emissions worked on my intake. It's different than this one. This had no EGR, so their basic was just vacuum controlled. Intake and carbon buildup. And even in there, it's not, I mean, it's dirty. It's well worn down. Expected for an engine that probably hasn't been rebuilt. If it has, it's not in a long time. And now we'll do, whoops, what was that? Take that off. Or no. In order to take that off, you gotta take the oil pan off. What we'll do then is take these off real quick. So we just don't have to do them anymore. And these I did loosen up before. I'll throw those in the little bucket of garbage. Bolts will. So I was supposed to throw in one of the valve cover or valve covers. Don't know why I said brackets. And here I'll show you this side. This side is more plain Jane basic. So these on the older style engines came with these little valves in there. That was the emission style. And cool, stay closed. And then warms up and open up. That's how it would help it heat up the engine quicker. And that's all based off of thermal heat. You heat up the spring, open it up. Nope. These are all different sockets for some reason. Different bolts on this side. Don't know why. And that's the same. That's locked in place. And we'll just do the bottom side for now. Get that done. The driver's side manifold does not have that little baffle or valve. Yummy coolant. Dry shaft rod. Try oil pump rod. Goes to the distributor. It's just an intermediate rod. It goes on to oil pump here. Distributor goes here. This hose is junk, cut up and ripped off. Dink. Take those off. For some reason we have to have a washer or a nut there. Where did I put? Oh. That. Don't know why that one is all. They're missing a bolt, so they had to make that one work. That's why that one's wrong, and it has. Oh yeah. There's a nut on there. There's a spacer. Anyway, you gotta make something work to get it by. I mean, it is what it is. It's part of life sometimes. Don't judge anyone. Yeah. Coolant vent for some reason, or coolant valve for some reason. So, like, now you can change your coolant that often. Maybe this person did every so often. Nope. Try 1/2 inch. Nope. Now on these 350s, they have two different style, or two different size nut or bolts. Four different sizes. So these are two different sizes. These four are for two in the front, two in the back, right next to the crankshaft. Then the other rest of them are smaller ones. The two bigger ones are 1/2 inch. These are 7/16 or 11 millimeter. For some reason that was not properly installed last time. There we go. Why are these not tight? Ow. There we go. Brackets to hold the transmission lines, if you have the lines. All these are really loose, or not really loose, but for sure looser than normal. That's that one. You can tell someone was in their last just because of all the extra RTV on everything. Make sure all the bolts are off. show you one of these. There's the other side. Those are 11 or I use 11 millimeter. The other ones are half inch. The bigger ones are half inch. Now you're gonna have to use a Devilo or a hammer and chisel again, or punch. Get it separated. I'll show you. There we go. I'll just do preliminary tear down, or might go further. Oh. One side has a broken exhaust bolt. Like it's not flush, so ooh. That's a little concerning, but we'll keep on going and see what we see. Hopefully it's just a little dirty. And kick some stuff around and take that out. Assuming yep. Sits in there. These are usually little pressed-in style ones. When I put the newer put ones in, I usually put a little bit of Loctite or something in there to help it seal. I mean, yeah. Some gunk here and there. Everything seems tight. Let me show you this. Don't even know where we're at. 48. And now grungy. All these seem to be tight, at least by finger standards. But you have to take that off in order to do the timing cover for the most part, just because this timing cover has a little lip here. And with the oil pan fully seated on there, this is a pain in the butt to get off. Unless you like destroying stuff. Which we'll try to get that off again. Actually, before we do that, grab some pig mat. Some oinking mat. Make too much of a mess. You know, the floor is already messy now. There you go. One thing I am glad I invested in is this style of engine stand is the crank style one, which makes rotating the engine a whole lot easier. I mean, you can set it up any which way you want to go. Just leave it there if you want a quarter of a turn. You just want this thing flush so you can just do one side of the engine at a time. I mean, I grew up on the old, a lot of people have, as the older style. Engine stands where you have to use the engine weight in order to rotate it over. You pretty much need two people. Almost fell there. Come on. You pretty much need an ultra shallow socket for these. The fact that they're different sizes for some reason. Don't know why. There's gonna be a lot of, I don't know why, because I know not much history of this engine. And a lot of it was probably just getting by. Lose a bolt, whatever, you need one. And at least work was done to it at some point, because there's seal everywhere. There's RTV everywhere. There we go. Just that snug in there. And boom. Needing that is, and not terrible, a little grungy. Yeah. But show you this real quick. So this is why you take the oil pan off right away. This is that crank or oil pan timing cover seal. See a little lip in there. With that oil pan fully seated, it does not want to come off whatsoever. Put the bolts right back. Put them in the cover. And I just gotta mess with that one and figure out what's going on with that. I think that's pretty close. I mean, we have close up to this. Been about an hour, so we'll probably wrap it up there and do another video on disassembly of the internals, the head, and try to work on that one exhaust so you don't have to worry about it and let you know what I did in order to get it off, which is probably just keying up different sockets and stuff like that. Just haven't been having difficulties, and maybe just the device I'm using is old and worn out, but having difficulties uploading videos that are more than half an hour long. Man, I mean, these seem snug. I'll even do one better and go. Grab my small hammer and go. And valves are free, at least on that side. Valves are free. You can play music if you want to. No need to go all excessive with hitting the valves and stuff like that. If you have to whap on the valves really hard, it's the reason why you should be able to get a little tap with it, and they should move. At least you should be able to hear that little tang noise to it. There's a dead sound, like you're hitting the block or whatever. No like hollowness to it. It's probably stock for a reason. Majority of the time, it says rust, corrosion, even carbon buildup. I mean, there's carbon chunks all over inside this engine. I mean, it's nature of the beast, especially when the vehicle has been used the way it's technically meant to. Other than that, I'll call it good for now. And hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Please subscribe, like, and comment if you want to. The engagement helps out a lot. I do try to keep up with talking to some of you guys. I've had a handful of people I had conversations on here about certain things, or even just discussions, or what they've done for things and worked on and stuff like that. So hopefully I can see you guys back, and we'll finish this thing up and see where it goes. Thanks. Bye.